Welcome back, everybody, and welcome to the second season of Southampton. And today, I'm going to let you know right now, there are not going to be any games. There are a couple of reasons behind this. The more minor of them is just that I'm really not in the mood for playing today. I've not had the best day, and I don't feel like playing Football Manager, so I'm not going to. But also, the more prevalent reason is I really want us to get used to the squad, and I want this to be like a journey that we take together. So I want to take my time and introduce you to the players and my line of thinking as to why I signed them, what I expect them to do, how I expect them to function, and all of that, as opposed to just whizzing through, oh, we signed this player because he was this much and he can do this, and we've signed this player because we've sold this guy, and we've sold this player because of this. Like, where we whiz through every player in about 20 seconds. I want us to sort of just enjoy this and go through it a bit slower. Also, it definitely is a factor that the first ever episode of this series, where we played 2 games and did the preseason, was half an hour long. That is definitely a factor. So, let's start with what everyone's going to want to know then. Let's see who we've got in and out. We're going to start with the outs, so we will join you at the first one right now. So, I'm not going to go through every player who we've sold. I know I've just said I want to make this a bit more personal, but the main issue is we've sold a lot of players who really just aren't going to do much. Youth players, like reserve players who were never going to play. So I'll take us through all the main ones and then whiz through the other ones at the end. But this first player is someone who we've definitely became acquainted with over the last year. This is Shane Long. Obviously, he was quite a pivotal player for us last year. Had a brief spell in the first team, came on quite a lot from the bench. But he wanted first team football and we really couldn't offer it to him. I'm honestly not sure he was good enough for the level we were at, let alone the level we're trying to get to. And we were offered decent money and we jumped at it. So you can see here, he had 25 appearances for last season, 4 goals, 2 assists and a 6.77 average rating. Really not good enough. Obviously he had a good performance in the Cup, but that was in the Cup against Ipswich, who were a league below. So it's not really relevant. But yeah, we managed to get 6.5 million from Brighton for him, and they are still in the Premier Division, so he can still potentially play against us, and we can see if we were wrong about this one, but I don't think Shane Long would have been what we needed this season, and I think we have improved over him. Sad to see him go, of course, but I think you'll see that we have improved, and yeah, we can do better than Shane Long for the level that we're going for. So, another player we sold is Nathan Redmond. Obviously, featured a little bit for us last season, mainly off of the bench. Might have had 1 or 2 starts in the Cup. He's not actually a bad player. I just really don't know where his best role is. And I just don't really think he fits into anything I want to do. But he's very all over the place. I mean, you can see from his stats here, you know, he's very fast, but his finishing isn't that good, so he can't really be a striker. He can't really be an inside forward. His mentals and some of his other physicals aren't really good enough, or technicals, sorry, aren't really good enough for him to be a winger. He's not really good enough in the centre to do anything there. Like, I just don't really know what I wanted him to do. And yeah, it was easier to just sort of get rid of him, especially for the money we were offered. We got 10 million for him from Swansea. No, we didn't. We got 7 million for him from Swansea. But yeah, you'll see in the league last season for us, he had 4 appearances. I'm pretty sure all of those were offered the bench with a 6.66 average. Could be argued he didn't really get a chance, but also he never really earned it either. He was unimpressive in the Cups where he had a couple of games. And yeah, I think, again, even as a depth option, we've done a lot better than Nathan Redmond this year. And I think you'll see that when we get into those players. But again, he's playing for Swansea, so he's still in the Premier Division. So if we are wrong about this one, we will be proved it. So I can't wait for him to score 32 goals and become top scorer. But for now, we will say goodbye to Nathan Redmond, and as well as the next player. So this is a big one then. This was a player who featured heavily for us last year, played every single game apart from one where he was suspended. Cedric has left the team. He's gone to RBL in the Bundesliga. And he was a good fullback for us, don't get me wrong, but a couple of things happened. I already had a fullback locked down to sort of compete with him, and then the money we were offered was just a lot, and I felt like we could do better. I feel like he has his weaknesses as well as his strengths, and honestly, like, if we'd have kept him, I wouldn't have been upset. I was in no rush to sell him. It's just the offer came in, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, let's take this. Let's see if we can improve. He was sort of a player who I highlighted a couple of times last season as being someone who was good but not great. And he's not someone I'm devastated to let go of. Obviously, he has his strengths in there, his pace being one of them. He was rapid down that right-hand side. But also his weaknesses too. He's awful in the air, being short and having the low heading, the low jumping reach. And also just a couple of other weaknesses throughout his game that I think we can improve onto. But you'll see here then, as I just said, 37 appearances. But in 37 appearances, he only got 2 assists. Like, he was lacking something on the offensive end for us. And I think we need better, really. I just think we need better to push us up that extra level. And yeah, I'm sad to see him going away, but for 16 million, I really did think we can improve, and I do think we have done that. So, it's a shame to say goodbye to Cedric, until I said a parting little comment to him, just a little, oh, bye, I wish you luck, and he's like, I'll never return to this club while you're manager. So, screw you, Cedric. I'm not actually that sad to see you go. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, this one is huge. Mario Lemina has left the club. No intention of letting him go. Even if I signed other players, I was more than willing to let him stay and fight for his place. But essentially, right at the start of the transfer window, he came up to me and was like, Tottenham are interested in me. And I'm like, okay, I'll let you go if they match your valuation. And we discussed his valuation, and he just sort of came in at like 30 million or just under. I think it was 29.5. And I was basically like, yeah, sure, thinking, oh, they're not going to come in and they're not going to pay that much. And then Tottenham came in and offered that much, so I just accepted, thinking, you know, I don't want the toxic atmosphere in the dressing room. We'll just let him go. And yeah, he's gone to Tottenham. Not ideal, really. I would have liked to keep him around. I think, you know, he would have at least been good competition for the players we have in the midfield if he wasn't a starter himself. And yeah, obviously he was a player I picked fault with quite a bit. It took him a while to earn his spot in the team, especially when we were playing the 4-3-3. And I was preferring Ward-Prowse and Romeu over him. But he did cement his spot in the team. But even then, I did nitpick him a couple of times. He seemed to give the ball away a lot, particularly in highlights. And obviously, that's just what you see. You know, it could be completely representative or non-representative of what actually happens. But he was also just... He was that player on our team who just had that creative spark and could make a chance. And we saw him score a couple of absolute banging goals. And if we go to his history here for us for last season, then you'll see he scored 4 goals in 31 appearances with a 7.08 average rating and 3 man-of-the-match appearances. He was good for us, he was, and I don't want to undersell that. I don't want to let that seem as if, you know, he was rubbish and I'm not sad to see him go. I would have liked to keep him around, but all things considered, it's not a devastating move, it's not heartbreaking, and 30 million for him is fantastic money, which I think we have invested well. And you'll also see here, we made 13.5 million on him from one season's performances. So, you know, that's not terrible. So, with this in mind then, let's get into the ins. There are a few more outs, but they're all basically nobodies who either never played for us or were just youth players, or just youth players that were left over. And the ins are honestly just more interesting. So once we've gone through all the ins, we'll come back and go to those outs just on the transfer history screen. You know the one I'm talking about. But for now, let's take you through some of the players we've bought in. So, on the ins, I'm going to start with the 2 players I knew were coming in before the season ended. So, when the last few episodes were going on, these are players who I already knew were coming in. And the first one of those then is Kieran Trippier. What seems like it might be quite an extraordinary transfer really actually wasn't. He was transfer listed for 16 million, or just between 16 and 17, somewhere in that ballpark. And I paid his transfer fee. And then I was like, hey, do you want to come play for us? And he was like, I want 72k a week and to be a key player. And I'm like, well, yeah, okay, sure, come and play. So Kieran Trippier's here. And yeah, I think he's a fantastic fullback. Obviously a little bit of bias from the recent World Cup that may not be reflected in game, where he had an excellent tournament. But if you just look at his stats for what I like, which are attacking and supporting fullbacks, if I just put this on support, you'll see good defensive stats across the board, not excellent, but fine. And excellent crossing at 16. 16 work rate and teamwork is, again, very, very good. Decent mentals across the board, aside from flair and maybe leadership, which aren't that important anyway. Nowhere near as fast as Cedric, but still quick. 13 accelerating, 14 pace is by no means slow, and it's hard to tell with FM because attributes so rarely get to like the 20, 19, 18 zone that like, is 14 good? Is 15 good? Is 13 good? Or are they just sort of average? Like, it's weird, but in a way, like 10's average at the top level. Like, It's really strange to try and wrap your head around. But yeah, across the board, he just has really good stats, and I think he's just going to be very consistent. If we take a quick look at his history, you'll see that last season for Tottenham, he played 27 games and got 4 assists, which is more than Cedric got for us in 37 games. And he got that player of the match performance, but the key one to me is that average rating of 7.18. He was just consistently very good. And that's what I want. I just want someone who's consistently very good. His peak performances might not be amazing, but his lows won't be low either. He's just going to be very capable and I just think he's just going to do a great job at right back. Like, I just think he's going to be a really good player for us. Not saying he doesn't have his weaknesses, he does, but I think they're in areas that don't really matter. So I'm expecting really good things from Kieran Trippier this season, and yeah, I'm excited to have him. So the other player who I knew was coming in for quite a while is Andrea Petagna. Striker, target man. Came from Atalanta for, I actually don't remember how much. I know it was less than 20 million because we didn't sign a player for more than 20 million. But if you just look at his stats, it's fairly apparent to see why we signed him. What I said for a lot of last season was I need that player who can get goals when Gabbiadini isn't performing. And when you look at some of these stats, the composure and the finishing are the two that will really jump out to you and go, well, he's not that player. But he just kind of is, because he's just such a focal point because of, first of all, 16 heading, he can knock in a few goals from that, right? But that's not the reason I've signed him. I've signed him to be that link-up player, that just almost... I'm trying to think of a player to equate it to, and I keep coming back to Didier Drogba. He's not there to bag 30 goals a season, but he will be responsible for so many goals. Like, in a similar sense, like, Drogba wasn't known for getting the 30-goal seasons. He was known for what he did for his club. Like, the amount of goals he facilitated and was a part of. And that's sort of similar to what I expect from Petagna. Like, if you just look at sort of his hold-up and his link-up stats, 14 passing, 14 vision, 19 teamwork and 16 work rate are excellent, especially in a striker. 15 first touch, 14 dribbling, 14 technique, and then obviously the physicals have to be mentioned. 18 strength, 18 balance, 16 jumping reach, 14 pace, 15 stamina. These are just amazing stats across the board, coupled with some very, very good mentals for a 23-year-old and decent determination, which means he may still improve. But yeah, things like 14 vision, 14 decisions, and 14 concentration should lead to some good performances from him. You can see as well from his potential ability from our scouts, if you're someone who pays attention to star ratings, he does still have that bit of potential to improve. But mainly, I think he's good enough now to be featuring heavily for us, and I think he's going to be a massive part of our team this season. This is one of the signings I'm most excited about. You'll see, again, he's on 72k a week. If we take a quick look at his history, you might be thinking, well, with those stats, how many goals is he going to get? 13 goals in 34 appearances for Atalanta, who came, I want to say 14th last season. 13th. They came 13th last season in the league. That's not great, and he bagged 13 goals with a 7.03 average rating and 5 player of the match performances. I think he's going to be really good for us. I think he's going to be a fantastic player. And I'm excited to have him. I think we're going to see a lot of good stuff come from Andrea Petagna. Okay, so if you're going to throw everything at me like, this is predictable, this is boring, everyone signs him, I am your target. Throw away. I heavily considered not signing him because, like everyone is thinking, everyone knows he's really good, everyone knows he's available for far lower than his true value. I just figured he's fun to use, and that's more important to me. He just looks like he's fun to use. I've used him as far better teams than Southampton, and he's been one of the best players on the team. Teams like Arsenal, Juventus, and a really weird Deportivo save that I had. I've signed Arthur in all of those. He's a wonderful player. He needs very little introduction. He's very well known amongst FM fans and real football fans now that he's signed for Barcelona. Real football. Not a phrase I like. Don't know why I used it. But pick a stat, look at it, and you'll see why he's good. It's that straightforward. 4-star current ability, 4.5-star potential if you're a fan of the scout reports. Most expensive signing this year, and I believe he is now the highest valued player on the team. That is something we'll double check in a bit. But yeah, he's just really, really, really good. and he takes our team to a level above. There's not too much more you can say about him. He's amazing. Last year, then, played for Gremio still. If he'd have been picked up, I wouldn't have been upset. If someone had stolen... Oh, sorry about that. Ow, that hurt. If somebody had stolen from us, I wouldn't have been upset. But they didn't. So we just sort of came in and were like, yoink. And now he's ours. And he's amazing. And he's going to be fun. Yes, it's predictable and boring. I don't care. This one has a story. This one does have a story. Originally, this was meant to be Wilfried Zaha, and I was meant to be telling you about how the man who got relegated with Crystal Palace last season has came to us and he's going to be a huge part of our team. But Man City stole him from us. So we don't have Wilfried Zaha, we have El Shaarawy, which isn't awful, I'm not going to lie. But we essentially went through and pretty much every left winger, actually no, we were scouting and offering contracts to like Neymar, Cristiano Ronaldo, Eden Hazard. I'm just like, somebody join me, please. Obviously, those weren't the only players, but like I went from pretty much 20 million up, and every player above that I went into negotiations for. This was the only one who said yes, apart from Hakan Çalhanoğlu. You can see why I didn't want to sign him. I can't say his name. So, this is not the only reason. El Shaarawy was just better. But yeah, I actually think he does look like a really good player. He's going to be playing on that left wing for us as an inside forward. And, I mean, just look at his stats, right? Like, they're not bad. There are some that stand out as being lower than what you would want. Things like teamwork and work rate. But, again, they're still not awful. And if those are his lowest stats that matter, you're not going to be devastated about them, right? So, I think he has a lot of potential to definitely compete. I think he's going to definitely get some goals for us. And I'm just quite quietly confident he's going to be... trying to figure out how to word this. One of those players that just really perform above their rating. He just looks good. Something about him just stands out to me and just goes, yeah, he's going to be great. Don't know whether it's like sort of the mentals that matter being quite high. Things like off the ball, flair, decisions, composure. And then that 15 finishing as well as being quite quick with 16 pace and 15 acceleration. Very quick, actually. But, yeah, 16 technique as well. He just looks like he's going to be really... You know how the last season we had those games where when Gabbiadini was marked out, we didn't really have that player who could just take the game by himself? That's what I sort of feel El Shaarawy is going to be like. If everyone else is playing poorly, it doesn't matter to him. Like, he can just sort of do things by himself. You know, he has the ability to just take on defenders. He has the finishing. He doesn't have the teamwork and work rate. The work rate sucks. He doesn't have the teamwork, but does he really need it? I think we just need a bit of that selfish player in our team, and I'm kind of hoping he can be that. So, not bigging him up as one of our best signings, but I do think he's going to feature quite heavily, and I think he's going to be better than maybe a lot of people expect. High hopes, very high hopes. If we take a quick look at his history then, 3 goals in 26 for Roma last season, with 7 assists and a 6.83 average. I just think he's better than that. I don't know. Something about him is really selling himself to me, and I can't quite figure out what it is, but I think we're going to see some quite good things from him this season. And, yeah, be excited, because I just think he's going to be really good. So this one's relatively straightforward. We have bought in Matt Ritchie from Newcastle, and, yeah, remember how a lot of last season I said when we played with the 4-3-3, oh, we don't have a backup for Gabbiadini. We don't have a rotation or a sub option for Gabbiadini. We have a backup for Gabbiadini. We have a sub option for Gabbiadini. Good player, very, very good all around. No real weakness, and absolute workhorse with that 18 work rate. And just, yeah, he's capable of getting a goal, 14 finishing, 15 long shots, good composure as well at 14. Some good technical stats throughout as well, 15 passing, 16 penalties as well if we need that. I mean, you saw how many penalties we missed. That was absurd. But again, good crossing. He can create, he can score, and he can definitely be a good option. I think this is sort of the kind of player that, at the level we were at, would have been a very good player for us. Now he's just a good option from our bench to rotate if we need to play in the cups, to get him some fitness. He's just going to be a good all-around player, and I think he's just going to basically just do his job, which is to just be that option. He's not going to carry the team. He's not going to knock Gabbiadini off his perch, or at least I highly doubt it. But he's yeah, he's good. He's just good. If we take a look then, he scored 4 goals in 29 with 4 assists and 1 player of the match performance for Newcastle last season. Worth noting, Newcastle did have a very good season, so I don't know if he was a bigger part of that than maybe this is letting on. But I'm hoping that this season he can, yeah, just sort of do well. I'm not expecting him to carry us. I just want him to fill his role and be a cog in the wheel. So, yeah, Matt Ritchie, he's fine. So this is a signing which I think kind of from the outlet seemed like a backup, but if you sort of remember the back end of last season, could very well end up not being so. We've brought in Charlie Daniels from Bournemouth. Yes, he's 31 years old. I was aware of this, I promise. It didn't catch me by... No, I did know he was 31 years old. I've used him in a couple of saves. Most notably, when I'm on an Arsenal save, he was my backup left back, and he was just really good. Like, whenever I had to play him, he was just incredibly consistent and capable of getting assists without necessarily doing it all the time. But, yeah, he's just a solid player. He's very good across the board. And you'll remember at the end of last season, Ryan Bertrand really dropped off. Like, at the start, he was bagging assists left, right, and centre. And then as we sort of hit the second half of the season, he really struggled to do anything. So I'm hoping if that happens again, we actually now have valid competition for him other than Sam McQueen. You know, Charlie Daniels is just sort of a similar level. And if we need to put him in instead, he's capable of doing that role. We can rotate them if we need to. He just looks good to me. Like, I've used him before and he's been fine. That's all I need him to be, you know? And it's no particular stat really lets him down. You know, good work rate, good tackling, good passing. Everything across the board is just solid where it needs to be. You know, 9 finishing, 5 leadership. Who cares, really, at the end of the day? And again, physically, for a 31-year-old as well, 14 pace, 13 acceleration, like, his age hasn't hit him. It will hit him at some point, and that point may be soon, but it hasn't hit him yet, and that's what matters. So if we take a quick look at his history, you'll see we signed him for 16 million, average of a 6.94 last season in 33 appearances. Yeah, he didn't get any assists. He will. He will for us, I promise. He will get at least 1 assist this season. I know he will. I have faith. So yeah, Charlie Daniels, I think he's just going to be a good option, good to rotate, and good competition for Ryan Bertrand. So, similar story on the other side then. Mikael Lustig at right back. Obviously, we sold Cedric, and I said I wanted some competition at right back. We've got Trippier and Lustig here to provide it. Came from Celtic, and just again, a good all-round player. No real letdown stats across the board. He's just solid. And the other thing that really attracted me to him is he can play centre-half. Because we don't have many centre-halves. We haven't signed any centre-halves. And Jack Stevens, who was our 5th choice, left us. So, in an emergency, he can play centre-half. Because we haven't sold any either. We still have Yoshida and Bednarek. But, yeah, he can do that if we need him to. But his main point is going to be just to sort of compete with Trippier at right back. And if Trippier doesn't perform for whatever reason, we have Lustig who can step in. Used him a little bit, not overly much. I think he had about half a season with me on a Swansea save. But I've had a lot of saves this season, by the way. I really couldn't settle on many. But this year. It's a year. That's what goes in a calendar. But yeah, obviously he's starting to decline in a couple of areas, probably due to the fact that he is 31 years old, but I still reckon he can do a decent job for us. And yeah, again, quietly confident he'll be a good performer for the team. Didn't actually play... Oh, no, he did. I was looking at this season. That's my bad. But yeah, he played 26 games for Celtic last season with a 7.01 average rating. Obviously a bit of a weaker league, but managed to get 3 assists for himself. And I'm hoping he can just be a good rotation option, a good squad player for us. And yeah, he'll be fine. He's not going to set the world on fire. He's not going to drown. So our last signing then is Davy Klaassen. And basically Everton got relegated and this is what we picked up. There are options. Yes, we signed Mikael Lustig when Seamus Coleman was available. I'm not quite sure why either. But yeah, either basically everyone wanted way too much money or way too much game time for their actual value. Because I looked at players like, for example, Sigurdsson and Idrissa Gueye and Seamus Coleman, I did actually look at. Jordan Pickford as well, just not worth it. They just weren't worth what they wanted. Whereas Davy Klaassen, happy to be a backup on a decent bit of money, but, you know, he's a decent player. And he can fill in for Dusan Tadic if we need him to, or in this deeper role if we need some rotations options. Obviously, Lamina left. Lamina left, so he could just be an option there if we need to just change things up. just again, another player who's very solid across the board. So, yeah, I think he's just going to be a good rotation option, a good squad player. And if you take a quick look at his history, you'll see that 23 appearances, 1 goal, 6.7 rating. He didn't do wonders for Everton last season, but he just needs to fill in case of emergency, really. I didn't want to be left short-staffed. We definitely aren't, by the way. We've got a full squad with some youth players, so we ain't short-staffed. But, yeah, I think he's just going to function, really. He's just going to turn things over. He's just going to sort of exist within the squad when we need him to. And he's not going to complain if he doesn't play because he's a backup. So, good things all around, really. The only other thing of note is he is a shadow striker in this attacking midfield role, which could be good. You'll see I tried to employ that a couple of times last season with Benzia, who wasn't a natural there. If we do need a late goal and, we just want an extra attacking player there, he could be really good for that. I'm not sure. We'll kind of just need to suss him out as the season goes on. And obviously, you may remember Dusan Tadic is suspended for the first game of the season, so he will actually get his first start there. So with that then, that is all the ins. So I'll take you to the full screen for this. And you can see here all the players that went out. This is why we didn't go through them all. So the ones we didn't cover real quick. Jack Stevens, backup centre-half, who got injured and that was it. Sofiane Bafal. This one's really weird, actually. I will take you through this real quickly. Apparently, he wasn't even with us last season. He was with West Ham. Rubbish. He was on our reserves every single game. But yeah, he signed for $3 million. He didn't play for us at all last season. Matt Ritchie's replaced him. Matt Ritchie replaced this. This isn't very good. If you're not overly familiar with Football Manager, this, especially, this, for a winger, is not... 8 work rate on a winger is not very good. He's an inside forward, technically, but it still stands. And, yeah, he's just kind of rubbish. Like, I don't know. I'm not a fan of Sofiane Bafal. But yeah, Shane Long we went through. Alex McCarthy, our third choice goalkeeper. Wanted first team football. He was third choice. He left. A few players went out on loan then. Ryan Seeger, Josh Sims, Jake Hesketh, and someone else down here. Sam Gallagher, who we're actually getting a bit of money for. And then Matthew Targett. This one's weird. So I signed Charlie Daniels and then just flicked through my under-23s and I'm like, oh, Matthew Targett's here. Might have kept him if I'd have noticed, but I think I'm more comfortable playing Charlie Daniels if I actually have to. And I think getting 10 million for Matt Targett's quite decent. He doesn't look... He's not bad by any means, but he's just sort of fine. And I think Charlie Daniels is better than fine. I think Charlie Daniels is like above average to good. So, yeah. And then Florian Gardos left on a free. Nobody cares. I forgot he was even here. His contract expired and I'm like, oh yeah, Florian Gardos. So we spent a lot. We signed 8 players, an average of around 16 million looking at that. A couple of players a bit under, a couple of players a bit over. We didn't sign anyone for over 20 million, but we didn't really sign anyone for under 12. So I think what we've done is just sort of strengthened as a whole and just really a lot of the positions where we either didn't have backups or our backups were just actually useless, Sofiane Bafal, as we've just sort of strengthened them. And a lot of the players that in the system we're going to play would have been starters last year and now our backup options are now our bench. So we'll go to the team, I'll take you to the tactics, and I'll show you the system that we're going to play. So yeah, as you may have gathered from the signings, we're going to be playing the 4-3-3. And I think this allows us to get the best out of the players we've got, while also incorporating new players in the way that we want to, as more goal-scoring threats, more creative players. You'll see it's very attacking. We've not got a ball winner or a defensive midfielder. Our most defensive midfielder is James Ward-Prowse as a deep-line playmaker on defend. I want goals. I feel like there was a bit of a conundrum in my head for like how many goals we conceded last season. And the reason for that is we conceded the most in the league. Or it might have been second most in the league, I forget. But on the surface, that looks like a defence problem. But then when you actually look at the games, like, we had so many games where we conceded 3, 4, 5, 6 goals. And the amount of games where we just got battered, like, we barely ever had a close defeat. We just got absolutely turned over. 5-1 to Palace, 5-1 to Bournemouth, 6-3 to Arsenal. Whatever the result against Arsenal the second time around was, that was a big one as well. We got smashed, I think it was 3-0. Oh no, it's 3-2 to Chelsea, but still, we conceded a lot. 3-1 to Man City, like 4-0 to West Brom. Just off the top of my head, like, we had some huge defeats last season. And I think we had quite a big loss to Leicester as well towards the back end. But that doesn't come from a poor defence. That comes from not being able to control the game. And I think we fixed that by getting better players outfield, like further up the pitch. We can get more of a foothold in games. If we need to make a sub, we can make a sub without massively decreasing our quality. And we have a system. Like, we have 2 wingers that I think can score us goals. Yes, it's very Italian up front, by the way. 3 Italian forwards. Just roll with it. Italy are a good team. You'll see this. But yeah, I think we have like an actual system. We have Petagna to sort of win the ball and hold it up. Gabbiadini and El Shaarawy to be the goal scorers. And Tadic to be that creative outlet, along with Arthur. And Ward-Prowse to just sort of control the tempo. Worth noting, by the way, Dusan Tadic is captain, James Ward-Prowse is vice-captain. And the back line remains very similar. Trippier is in for Cedric, and that is the only change. Bertrand, Delete, Hadet, and Timo Horn are all still there. I really do just have quite high hopes for this. And I think you're going to see us... I'm going to take off dribble less. I didn't know it was on, but it's going off. There we go. Okay. I don't want players like Stefan El Shaarawy or Dusan Tadic dribbling less. I think it's one of their strengths. So, yeah, I think you're going to see that this is going to work quite well. I'm quite optimistic. I want 6th. Minimum 6th. I've actually set my target for Europa League. So, 6th. But what I was saying earlier about, a lot of the players who would have been starters are now on the bench. Patrick Cutrone was a starter on the bench. Scott Sinclair was a starter on the bench. Oriol Romeu was a starter. He's now on the bench. Cedric would have been on the bench if he was still here. And I think Lamina would as well, behind Ward-Prowse and Arthur. So, yeah, I think we've just strengthened significantly in a lot of areas, and I'm just really optimistic about this. Very not cautiously. I just think it's going to be really good. It gets a bit messy down here, to be fair. We have a lot of players. A lot of players who I signed last year, not going to play. Benzia, doubt we'll see him. Gunnarsson, definitely not. He spends all season injured. Sam McQueen definitely won't make an appearance. Neither will Valerie, I highly doubt. Hassan, now the 3rd choice, and he already wasn't that great. It's questionable. But I think some of the players like Davy Klaassen, who is actually going to start for us in this first game due to Tadic's injury, I think we're just going to have a really good season. I'm just really optimistic about it. And yeah, I'm hoping we can sort of reflect that in our play. So here is the season preview then. And we are predicted to finish 7th on the bookies odds, just ahead of Leicester and Bournemouth, behind Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, and Man United will win the league. It's not even debatable. Man United will win the league. They've signed Paulo Dybala. He's the best player in the game. They will win the league. They also still have Alexis Sanchez, I'm pretty sure. And Paul Pogba. They have a lot of really good players on FM. And Romelu Lukaku. Yeah, they're going to win the league. Couple of key transfers I want to point out from a couple of the teams above. Namely this one. So you'll be seeing our name a couple of times. Lamina, Trippier, they've bought in Mandzukic. That's a really good transfer. Oh, Harry Kane's gone to Bayern Munich. Yeah, Harry Kane's gone to Bayern Munich. That makes these significantly weaker. Also, Victor Wanyama's gone to China. Kind of an interesting one, I guess. Jan Vertonghen's gone to Monaco. I don't know why these are predicted to finish above us. I'm going to be completely honest. I just think we're better. I think they've just got like a significantly weaker squad. I mean, if we take a quick look, obviously on value-wise, they're very far ahead on, especially their top-class players, Christian Eriksen, Laurie, Alderweireld, Ali, Dyer, sort of that area. But then past that, I think they sort of peter off very quickly. I think we're going to have a lot more players sort of around this area, and we'll go through our squad in a little bit. But I'm not by any means saying they're a bad squad, but I really do think they're a team we can compete with this year. I'm looking to knock Tottenham out of the top 6, and I'm quite optimistic we can do it. They're definitely going to win the league now. So real quick, another team that's actually worth pointing out is actually Man City, who have massively strengthened, despite selling their top goal scorer, Iago Aspas, so I can stop calling him Iaspas now. They've signed Andrea Bellotti, Wilfred Zaha, who they stole from us, and Raphael Varane for 80 million, along with Dendonka, who's not going to play. But yeah, they've signed Raphael Varane for 80 million. These are a good competitor this year. If Man United didn't have Paulo Dybala, I might pin them to win the league. But Man United will win the league. They have Paulo Dybala. So real quick, just to touch on Man United, it's not just Paulo Dybala they've signed. They have also signed Stefan De Vrij and Daniel Alves. They're going to win the league. You're going to hear this and think I'm a Man United fan. I'm not. It's just they have the best players on the game. they've just signed really good players on Football Manager. Stefan De Vrij, Paulo Dybala especially are incredible. I've said Paulo Dybala more times than Southampton this video. But, I mean, this is just unfair. Pogba, Sanchez, Dybala, Lukaku, Gelson Martins, David De Gea, like, it's just a really good team. So let's take a quick look at our own in terms of value, and then we'll take a quick look through the schedule and then get this video wrapped up. So here is our squad then in terms of their overall value. You can also see their contracts here, but Arthur, our most valuable player at 35.5 million. Dusan Tadic and Gabbiadini in behind him. Quite a big drop-off then to Delete and Hadet, our two centre-halves. Both valued at the same amount is worth pointing out. Both very, very good as well. A lot of offers came in for Hadet this year and we were just swatting them away. New signing Patania, El Shaarawy, Matt Ritchie, Timo Horn. Weird that Matt Ritchie's that high actually. That caught me off guard a little bit. But yeah, I think we've just got a very good squad this year. I'm very optimistic about our chances. So let's go and see who we're playing. So you know that team I've just been banging on about that's going to win the league? Yeah, we play them in our second game of the season. Newcastle and Man United will be the games tomorrow then. And we've got Portsmouth in the Cup. We should win that. I think they probably got promoted. They normally tend to. Let's find out. No, they're in League One still. Okay. But Bournemouth here is going to be one of the interesting games. Obviously a team that gave us a lot of trouble and were very similar to us in the league last season. Really hoping we can start to see off some of these weaker sides and prove our dominance anyway. Prove that we deserve to be competing for the Europa League. I want it to become a top 7 and a bottom 13, not a bottom 14 and a top 6. I want us in that conversation, and I think we have a team that can start to get us there. No way do I think it's finished, but we can start to enter that discussion. And we just need to get a bit of European play, increase our reputation, attract better players, and then we can really keep on going. So this video has gone on long enough, and I'm going to wrap it up here. But I hope you're all excited for the new season, which will start tomorrow with the games against Newcastle and Man United. That video will go up at 5:30 PM, so if you want to get that into your feed, you can hit that subscribe button. But if not, you can check back at that time. And yeah, if you have any feedback, please leave it in the description. You can't write in the description. Leave it in the comments. And yeah, apologies for no games today, but like I said, I just really wasn't in the mood for it. And I thought it would be quite good to take a bit of a behind-the-scenes look, go through all the transfers in a bit more detail, and yeah, make a proper video out of it, really. So have a great night, and yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.